Ah, my dear friends, let me take you on a journey, a tale unlike any you've heard before, filled with lessons about love, loyalty, and the invisible riches that cannot be weighed by gold. Our story begins with Devon, a man of unimaginable wealth, whose life glittered with luxury, but whose heart yearned for something no fortune could provide. What is it that makes a person truly rich? Is it the cars in the garage, the numbers in the bank account, or the love and honesty that surround them? Devon's journey will teach us that the answer isn't as simple as it seems. As he embarks on a quest to find authentic love, he confronts deceit, betrayal, and a radiant truth that proves some treasures are priceless. If this story touches your soul, I urge you to subscribe to our channel and join our community. And why not take a moment to share your thoughts below? Let's start with this. True love is the wealth of the soul, and no treasure can replace it. Devon had it all, or so it seemed. His name was etched into the marble halls of success. His empire spanned cities, and his charisma commanded rooms full of admirers. Yet, when he returned to his mansion each night, silence was his only companion. Wealth had insulated him, yes, but it had also isolated him. He wasn't always this way. Born into privilege, Devon had grown up watching his parents build their fortune from a modest family business. But as the zeros in their accounts multiplied, so too did the distance between them. His father became consumed with work, his mother preoccupied with social standing. Somewhere along the way, the warmth of shared meals and heartfelt conversations was replaced with cold, calculated ambition. It was no surprise then that Devon followed a similar path. By his mid-30s, he was a self-made millionaire, surpassing even his parents' expectations. But the very success that brought him applause from the world also built walls around his heart. People didn't see him. They saw his wealth, his influence, and this left him haunted by a single pressing question. Did anyone truly care for the man beneath the money? Devon tried to fill the void with lavish parties and fast cars, with exotic vacations and expensive hobbies. Yet, no matter how bright the chandelier above his dinner table, its light never reached his soul. The women he dated admired his wealth more than his wit, his suits more than his sincerity. One evening, as he sipped an aged whiskey in his study, he stared at the glowing skyline through a wall of glass. The city seemed alive, buzzing with stories of ordinary people. The baker opening her shop at dawn, the taxi driver ferrying strangers through rain-soaked streets, the young couple laughing as they shared a single ice cream cone. He envied them. Strange, isn't it? A man who could buy anything envying those who had so little. Enough, he murmured to himself, his voice breaking the silence. Devon decided then and there that he would leave his penthouse, his tailored suits, and his privilege behind to discover if there was something more, someone who could love him for who he truly was. The plan was simple, though not without its risks. He would adopt a modest identity, working as a taxi driver to immerse himself in the lives of everyday people. He would strip away the armor of wealth and let himself be vulnerable, exposed. Could he find someone who loved him, not for his riches, but for his heart? Friends warned him it was madness. What if you lose everything you've built? They asked. What if you're taken advantage of? But Devon's mind was set. To him, the greater risk was living his life surrounded by admiration that was as fleeting as the champagne bubbles at his galas. When he stepped out into the world the next morning, he felt a peculiar mix of fear and liberation. Dressed in a second-hand jacket and scuffed shoes, he looked at himself in a cracked mirror. His reflection smiled back at him, a stranger yet strangely familiar. Driving a taxi was humbling work. The seat of his gleaming sports car was now replaced by a worn-out cushion, its springs poking at him with every bump in the road. Yet, as he navigated through the labyrinth of the city, he began to notice things he'd missed before. The kindness of strangers, the laughter of children playing in the park, the resilience etched on the faces of those chasing their dreams against all odds. And then there were the passengers, each with a story. There was the elderly man who spoke of his late wife with a tenderness that made Devon's chest ache. There was the single mother who apologized for her son's noisy chatter, though Devon secretly enjoyed their company. There was the aspiring musician who paid his fare in coins, but left a song in Devon's heart. As the days turned into weeks, Devon found himself more alive than ever. Stripped of his wealth, he had discovered something infinitely richer: connection. But his quest was far from over. For all the lessons he learned about others, he still longed for someone who could see him, truly see him. Little did he know, fate was already weaving its threads. Somewhere in the city, a woman named Alice was living her own quiet story. A story that would soon collide with Devon's in the most unexpected way. Devon had begun to understand the value of life beyond wealth, but his heart still yearned for a love untainted by materialism. What happens when a man who has everything meets a woman who sees right through him? Stay with me, for the answer lies just around the bend in the journey. Devon's transformation from a man of opulence to an everyman living an ordinary life was no small feat. It wasn't just about shedding expensive suits and designer watches. It was about stepping into a reality he had only observed from afar. The world looked different through the cracked windshield of his modest taxi, a far cry from the polished panes of his luxury cars. At first, the change was jarring. His mornings, once filled with personal trainers and imported espresso, now began with the hum of his taxi's engine and the smell of cheap diner coffee. The suits that had once defined him hung untouched in his closet, replaced by a collection of thrift store finds that were practical, if uninspired. Devon embraced the discomfort, viewing it as a chance to unearth a version of himself he hadn't yet met. What surprised him most was how liberating anonymity felt. As a taxi driver, he was just another face in the crowd, navigating the bustling streets and weaving through the cacophony of city life. Gone were the sycophants who praised his every word. In their place were strangers who treated him like anyone else. This was precisely what he needed. A chance to connect without the weight of his wealth clouding the interactions. The work itself was grueling. He spent long hours behind the wheel, often dealing with irate passengers, unpredictable traffic, and the ever-looming threat of mechanical breakdowns. Yet, amidst the challenges, Devon found moments of profound humanity. His passengers brought with them stories, snapshots of lives lived, resilience and grace. One evening, Devon picked up an elderly woman clutching a bouquet of wilting flowers. She spoke softly, her voice tinged with nostalgia as she explained that she visited her late husband's grave every week. He used to say, she confided, that love is like a garden. If you tend to it with care, it blooms, even in the harshest seasons. Her words stayed with Devon long after she had stepped out of the cab. Another passenger, a young man on his way to a job interview, revealed his fears of failing to provide for his family. "I just want my kids to be proud of me," he said, his hands trembling as he clutched a folder of resumes. Devon found himself rooting for the man, offering words of encouragement that felt more authentic than anything he had said in years. Each day brought new lessons, new perspectives. Devon began to see his wealth for what it truly was, a tool, not an identity. The lives of his passengers were rich in ways he had never understood, filled with love, struggle, and hope that transcended material possessions. But his journey wasn't without its trials. Devon's closest friends had not fully supported his decision, and he often felt the sting of their judgment. "Why would you trade a life of luxury for this?" one friend had asked, gesturing dismissively at Devon's taxi. But their doubts only fueled his determination. He was searching for something they couldn't grasp, a sense of purpose, a connection that transcended wealth. And then there was Brenda. Devon met her during one of his shifts, her charm and beauty standing out in the sea of faces. She had hailed his taxi with a radiant smile, and their conversations were light and flirtatious. At first, Devon felt a flicker of hope. Could she be the one to see past his facade? As their relationship blossomed, Devon began to notice troubling patterns. Brenda seemed far more interested in his background than his present circumstances. Her questions about his family, his upbringing, and his ambitions grew more pointed, as if she were piecing together a puzzle that would reveal his true wealth. One day, Brenda casually mentioned her love for designer handbags and lavish vacations, her words laced with expectation. Devon's heart sank. He realized she was drawn to the idea of what he could offer, not who he truly was. The revelation was painful but clarifying. He ended the relationship, vowing to stay true to his mission. The experience with Brenda left Devon shaken but resolute. He was learning that true connection couldn't be forged through superficial means. It required vulnerability, honesty, and a willingness to embrace the imperfections of life. As Devon's journey continued, he found solace in the simplicity of his new routine. He spent his evenings reflecting on the stories of his passengers, jotting down notes in a weathered journal he kept in his taxi. Each entry was a reminder of the lessons he was learning, lessons about humility, empathy, and the enduring power of human connection. What Devon didn't yet realize was that his path was about to intersect with someone who would challenge everything he thought he knew about love and authenticity. Alice was waiting on the horizon, a beacon of light in the maze of his journey. Devon's experiment had taught him much, but his heart remained guarded, unsure if true love could ever break through his walls. Little did he know, Alice would soon appear, bringing with her a quiet strength and genuine heart that would redefine everything he believed about love. The early evening lights of the city cast a warm glow on the bustling streets as Devon's taxi idled near a popular cafe. It was there that Brenda first stepped into his life, her elegance drawing attention as she flagged him down. Dressed impeccably in a chic dress, she carried herself with the poise of someone accustomed to admiration. "Busy night?" she asked as she slid into the back seat, her voice light and engaging. Devon offered a polite smile, nodding. "Always is. Where to?" As the cab wove through the streets, their conversation flowed easily. Brenda spoke with a charming wit, her laughter punctuating their exchange. Devon found himself intrigued, her presence a refreshing change from the usual rhythm of his days. When she handed him her business card at the end of the ride, suggesting they meet for coffee sometime, he pocketed it without hesitation. Their first coffee date was comfortable and lively. Brenda was quick to ask about his life, though Devon noticed how her questions often veered toward his past, his education, his family, his upbringing. He carefully kept his answers vague, reluctant to reveal the fortune he had left behind. Instead, he focused on her, learning about her career aspirations, her hobbies, and her love for fine art. Brenda's charm wasn't just surface level. She had a way of making Devon feel seen, her gaze attentive and warm. Yet, there was an undercurrent to their connection that Devon couldn't quite place a subtle weight in her words, a calculated precision in her curiosity. As their relationship deepened, Brenda began to pepper their conversations with comments that hinted at her expectations. She spoke fondly of high-end vacations, expensive dining, and her admiration for people who knew how to enjoy the finer things in life. Devon, who was growing increasingly wary, kept his responses neutral, steering the conversation back to more grounded topics. One evening, as they walked through a park after dinner, Brenda turned to him with a playful smile. "You're such an enigma, Devon. I feel like there's so much you're not telling me." Devon chuckled softly, brushing off the comment. "Maybe I just enjoy keeping things simple." Brenda's expression faltered for a moment. Before she recovered, her laugh tinged with frustration. "Simple is fine, but don't you think ambition is important too? Don't you want more out of life?" The question lingered in the air, heavier than it should have been. Devon realized then that Brenda wasn't seeing him as he was, but rather as a blank canvas on which she could paint her desires. The turning point came on Brenda's birthday. Devon had spent the week planning a heartfelt celebration, cooking her favorite dishes and crafting a thoughtful, handmade gift. Yet, when Brenda unwrapped the gift, a carefully selected book paired with a handwritten letter, her reaction was tepid at best. "Oh," she said, her smile strained. "This is nice." Her disappointment was palpable, and it stung. Brenda's subtle hints about wanting something more memorable in the weeks leading up to her birthday now made sense. Devon felt a knot of unease tighten in his chest. Later that evening, as they sat on her couch, Brenda casually mentioned a designer handbag she had been eyeing, her tone laced with expectation. Devon's heart sank. The relationship, once filled with promise, now felt hollow, built on a foundation of material desire rather than genuine connection. The final straw came during a dinner party Brenda hosted for her friends. Devon had been introduced as a humble taxi driver, But Brenda's body language and subtle remarks hinted at her dissatisfaction with his occupation. When one of her friends commented on Devon's potential to do more with his life, Brenda laughed along, failing to defend him. That night, as Devon walked home alone, the reality of their relationship hit him with full force. Brenda's interest in him was not rooted in love or understanding, but in the potential she saw to elevate her lifestyle. Ending the relationship was painful, but necessary. When he told Brenda he didn't see a future for them, her response was telling. "I thought you had potential," she said, her voice sharp with disappointment. "I guess I was wrong." Devon left her apartment with a heavy heart, yet also with a sense of clarity. He had learned a painful but invaluable lesson. Superficial connections could never satisfy. The deeper longing for true love and understanding. Despite the heartbreak, Devon found solace in the knowledge that his journey was far from over. Brenda had been a detour, a test of his resolve. He vowed to stay true to his mission, even if it meant enduring loneliness a little longer. Devon's heart ached from the sting of betrayal, but his spirit remained unbroken. Little did he know, the very person who would heal his wounds and redefine his understanding of love was about to enter his life. Alice's arrival would challenge everything he thought he knew about human connection. The morning was crisp, and sunlight poured through the city's skyline as Devon navigated his cab through familiar streets. He had grown accustomed to the rhythm of his days, a cycle of unassuming passengers and fleeting conversations. But this day would be different. This day, the universe had a plan. Devon's eyes caught sight of her as she stood on the curb, a worn tote bag slung over her shoulder. Alice. She was dressed simply, a pale blue blouse and a skirt that had seen better days, but there was a quiet dignity about her. When she waved for his cab, her smile was warm and unpretentious, a sharp contrast to the calculated charm he had grown wary of in others. "Good morning," she said as she climbed into the back seat, her voice soft but steady. "Good morning," Devon replied, glancing at her in the rearview mirror. "Where to?" As he drove her to a small community center on the other side of town. Their conversation flowed effortlessly. Alice spoke of her work at the center, where she organized activities for children and volunteered at a food pantry. Her words carried a passion that was rare and genuine, and Devon found himself leaning into the conversation, eager to learn more. When they arrived, she hesitated before paying. "Thank you," she said, handing him a few crumpled bills. "I hope your day treats you kindly." Her words stayed with him long after she left, and Devon couldn't resist the urge to return to the community center later that week. He told himself it was just curiosity, a desire to understand what kind of person devoted their life to helping others. But deep down, he knew there was more to it. When he saw Alice again, she was surrounded by children, her laughter blending with theirs as they painted colorful murals on the center's walls. She seemed to radiate joy, her every movement imbued with purpose and kindness. "Devon," she said when she spotted him. "What a surprise. Are you volunteering today?" Caught off guard, Devon hesitated before replying. "Something like that," he said with a smile. "Thought I'd see what all the fuss is about." Over the next few weeks, Devon found himself spending more and more time at the community center. He joined in on activities, helped distribute food, and even repaired a few broken chairs. But it was Alice who kept drawing him back. Her stories, her laughter, her unwavering belief in the goodness of people, it all captivated him. What struck Devon most about Alice was her ability to find beauty in the mundane. She spoke with equal enthusiasm about the children's art projects and the simple joy of sharing a meal with someone in need. Her life was far from glamorous, but it was rich in ways Devon hadn't thought possible. As their friendship deepened, Devon began to share pieces of his own story. He told her about his parents, his rise to success, and his decision to leave it all behind. Alice listened without judgment, her eyes filled with understanding. "I think it's brave," she said one evening as they walked through a nearby park, "to strip away everything and start over. Most people wouldn't have the courage." Her words resonated with Devon, and for the first time in years, he felt seen not for what he had, but for who he was. It wasn't long before their connection blossomed into something deeper. Devon found himself looking forward to their conversations, their shared meals, their quiet moments of reflection. Alice, too, seemed to cherish their time together, her smile growing brighter whenever he was near. But as their bond grew stronger, so did Devon's internal struggle. He knew he couldn't keep his true identity hidden forever. The thought of revealing his wealth and past life to Alice filled him with fear. Would she see him differently? Would she question his sincerity? One evening, as they sat on the steps of the community center, Devon turned to her, his heart heavy with the weight of his secret. "Alice," he began, his voice hesitant, "there's something I need to tell you." But before he could continue, she placed a hand on his, her touch gentle and reassuring. "Whatever it is," she said, "I'll listen. I'll understand." Devon wanted to believe her, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he chose to delay the inevitable, hoping that their connection would grow strong enough to withstand the truth. Devon had found someone who saw the world and him in a way no one else ever had. But as their love deepened, so did the shadows of his hidden life. What would happen when Alice discovered the man behind the mask? And how would his family react to the woman who had stolen his heart? Their journey was about to take a turn neither of them could have foreseen. The morning sun streamed through the windows of Devon's modest apartment as he paced back and forth, his thoughts a chaotic whirl. Alice had filled his life with a joy he hadn't known was possible. But with that joy came a growing dread. The secret of his wealth and the life he had left behind loomed larger with each passing day. It wasn't just about his fear of losing Alice. It was also about facing the people he had distanced himself from, his family. Devon had always known that revealing his true identity would change everything. He just didn't know how. His family, steeped in tradition and obsessed with social standing, would never accept Alice. To them, she was an outsider, someone who couldn't possibly understand the responsibilities of their world. But Alice wasn't just anyone. She was the anchor that had steadied him, the light that had guided him out of the shadows. The moment of truth came sooner than Devon expected. It was a quiet evening when he invited Alice over for dinner. As they sat together, the warmth of her laughter filling the room, he knew he couldn't keep the truth from her any longer. "Alice," he began, his voice heavy with emotion, "there's something I need to tell you." She set down her fork, her expression shifting to one of quiet concern. "What is it?" Devon took a deep breath, the weight of his confession pressing down on him. "I haven't been completely honest with you about my past," he admitted. "Before I became a taxi driver, I was wealthy, extremely wealthy." Alice's brow furrowed, her eyes searching his face for answers. "Wealthy? What do you mean?" He explained everything, the empire he had built, the life of luxury he had left behind, and his decision to live as an ordinary man in search of something money couldn't buy. Throughout his story, Alice listened intently, her expression unreadable. When he finished, the silence that followed was almost unbearable. But then Alice reached for his hand, her grip firm and steady. "Devon," she said, her voice calm but resolute, "your past doesn't define you. It's what you've done with your present that matters. You've shown me your heart, and that's all I've ever needed." Relief washed over him, but the battle was far from over. Alice's acceptance of his truth was only the first step. The next hurdle was introducing her to his family, a prospect that filled him with equal parts hope and dread. When Devon told his parents about Alice, their reaction was swift and cutting. "Devon, have you lost your mind?" his mother exclaimed, her voice sharp with disapproval. "This woman, she's not one of us. She doesn't understand our world." His father, typically stoic, was no less dismissive. "Your choices affect more than just yourself, Devon. Our family's reputation is at stake." Devon's attempts to defend Alice were met with cold indifference. The argument escalated until his mother delivered an ultimatum that left him stunned. "You have to choose," she said, her tone final. "Your family and the life we've built, or this woman." Devon's heart ached with the weight of their words, but his resolve remained unshaken. He knew what he had to do. When he told Alice about the confrontation, she urged him not to sacrifice his relationship with his family for her sake. "Devon, family is important," she said gently. "I don't want to come between you and them." But Devon was firm. Alice, you are my family now. I won't let anyone dictate who I can and cannot love." The decision to stand by Alice came with its own set of challenges. Devon's family cut off financial support, forcing him to navigate a life of modest means. But for the first time, he felt free to build a life rooted in authenticity and love rather than wealth and expectations. As Devon and Alice adjusted to their new reality, they found joy in the simplicity of their shared life. They cooked meals together, explored local parks, and spent evenings talking about their dreams and fears. Each moment was a testament to the strength of their bond, a love unshaken by the storm they had weathered. But the story wasn't over. Unbeknownst to Devon, Alice was carrying a secret of her own, one that would not only deepen their connection, but also bring unexpected changes to their lives. Devon and Alice had chosen love over comfort, but their journey was far from complete. Alice's secret would soon come to light, challenging them in ways they could never have anticipated. Could their love withstand yet another test? Or would it transform into something even greater? Stay tuned for what's to come. Devon and Alice had settled into their new life together, a life devoid of luxury but rich in meaning. Their modest apartment, with its mismatched furniture and creaky floors, felt more like home than Devon's grand penthouse ever had. They spent their days navigating the challenges of a simpler life, learning to find joy in the little things: a morning walk in the park, a shared laugh over a home-cooked meal, or the comfort of each other's presence after a long day. For Devon, the transition was a revelation. The man who once measured success by the size of his bank account now found fulfillment in the quiet moments of connection. He marveled at Alice's resourcefulness, her ability to stretch a tight budget without complaint, and the grace with which she faced each obstacle. Alice, too, had undergone a transformation. While she had always been content with a humble life, her love for Devon brought out a strength she didn't know she possessed. She saw in him a man willing to give up everything for the sake of their relationship, and she was determined to honor that sacrifice by building a life together that was as beautiful as it was simple. But life wasn't without its challenges. Money was tight, and there were days when they struggled to make ends meet. Devon took on extra shifts as a taxi driver, while Alice supplemented their income by working at the community center. Despite their efforts, the weight of their financial situation occasionally cast a shadow over their happiness. One evening, as they sat together on their small balcony, Devon voiced his concerns. "Alice, I worry about whether I'm giving you the life you deserve," he admitted, his gaze fixed on the city lights in the distance. Alice placed her hand on his, her touch firm and reassuring. "Devon, you've already given me more than I could have ever asked for. You've given me love, respect, and a partnership built on trust. That's worth more than any amount of money." Her words strengthened his resolve, and together they faced each challenge with determination. They learned to rely on each other, to find creative solutions to their problems, and to celebrate their victories, no matter how small. Amid the struggles, there were moments of profound joy. Devon discovered a talent for cooking, delighting Alice with his attempts at recreating her favorite dishes. Alice, in turn, taught Devon the art of finding beauty in the ordinary: a sunrise, a blooming flower, or the laughter of children playing outside their window. Their love deepened with each passing day, a bond forged not in wealth or convenience, but in the resilience and commitment they shared. Yet, unbeknownst to Devon, Alice was harboring a secret, one she had chosen to keep from him out of concern for his well-being. A few weeks earlier, Alice had discovered she was pregnant. The news had filled her with a mixture of joy and apprehension. She worried about how Devon would react, especially given their current financial situation. She decided to wait for the right moment to tell him, hoping to shield him from additional stress. But secrets have a way of surfacing, and Alice's was no exception. The revelation came unexpectedly one afternoon when Devon's mother, who had been keeping tabs on her son from a distance, paid a surprise visit to their apartment. The encounter was tense at first, with his mother's disapproval palpable in her every glance and word. But as the conversation unfolded, Alice's pregnancy was revealed, and everything changed. Devon's mother, initially skeptical of Alice's intentions, was moved by her humility and strength. She began to see the woman her son had fallen in love with not as an outsider, but as a partner who had chosen love and sacrifice over comfort and convenience. The news of the pregnancy softened her heart, and for the first time in years, she and Devon shared a moment of genuine connection. "Devon," she said, her voice trembling with emotion, "I just want you to be happy. If Alice is the one who brings you that happiness, then I will support you both." The reconciliation was a turning point for Devon and Alice. With his family's blessing, they felt a renewed sense of hope and unity. Their journey had not been an easy one, but it had brought them closer together, proving that love, when nurtured with care and commitment, could overcome even the greatest of challenges. Devon and Alice's love had triumphed over adversity, but their journey was far from over. With the arrival of their twins on the horizon, they were about to embark on a new chapter 1, filled with both joy and unexpected trials. How would they navigate the challenges of parenthood and the lingering complexities of their past? Stay tuned to find out. The first signs of Alice's secret began to show subtly: a missed meal here, a bout of fatigue there. Devon noticed but didn't press. He chalked it up to the long hours she spent at the community center and their shared struggles to keep their heads above water. What he didn't know was that Alice was wrestling with a secret that would change everything. She was pregnant, and not with one child, but 2. Alice had discovered her pregnancy during a routine visit to the clinic. The news had initially filled her with joy, but it was quickly tempered by apprehension. Could she and Devon provide the life their children deserved? Would the strain of their financial situation cast a shadow over what should be a time of celebration? These questions weighed heavily on her heart. For weeks, Alice kept the secret to herself, unsure of how to broach the subject. She wanted to find the right moment, a time when Devon wouldn't feel the added burden of their circumstances. But as the days turned into weeks, the weight of her secret became harder to bear. It wasn't until a routine encounter at the community center that her secret began to unravel. Devon's mother, who had recently softened her stance toward Alice, arrived unexpectedly to drop off a donation. Seeing Alice seated with her hands protectively over her abdomen, she sensed something was amiss. "Alice, dear," she began cautiously, "are you feeling all right? You seem different." Caught off guard, Alice hesitated before offering a shy smile. "I'm fine, just a little tired." But Devon's mother wasn't convinced. Her maternal instincts kicked in, and after a few moments of careful observation, her suspicions were confirmed. "You're pregnant, aren't you?" she asked, her tone a mix of surprise and concern. Alice's eyes widened, and after a moment of silence, she nodded. "I am, but please, don't tell Devon. I want to find the right time to share the news." Devon's mother, moved by Alice's vulnerability, promised to keep her secret, but encouraged her to tell him soon. "He deserves to know, Alice. This is his family too." Later that evening, as Alice prepared dinner in their small kitchen, Devon entered with an exhausted but contented smile. "Smells amazing," he said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Alice leaned into his embrace, her heart pounding as she considered how to tell him. She decided then and there that she couldn't keep the secret any longer. "Devon," she began, turning to face him, "there's something I need to tell you." The seriousness in her tone immediately caught his attention. "What is it?" Alice took his hands in hers, her eyes searching his face. "I'm pregnant," she said softly, "with twins." For a moment, Devon was silent, his expression unreadable. Then, as the words sank in, a broad smile spread across his face. "Twins?" he repeated, his voice filled with awe. "We're having twins?" Alice nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I was afraid to tell you. I didn't want you to feel overwhelmed." Devon pulled her into a tight embrace, his voice trembling with emotion. "Alice, this is the best news I've ever received. Yes, things will be challenging, but we'll figure it out together. We always do." From that moment on, the couple approached their impending parenthood with a renewed sense of purpose. They made plans, saved every penny they could, and leaned on each other for support. The community center staff and Devon's mother rallied around them, offering help and encouragement. As Alice's due date approached, Devon worked tirelessly to prepare their home for the arrival of their twins. He painted the nursery, assembled cribs, and scoured second-hand stores for baby essentials. Despite the physical and emotional strain, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. When the twins were finally born, a boy and a girl, their arrival marked the beginning of a new chapter in Devon and Alice's lives. Holding his children for the first time, Devon felt an overwhelming surge of love and gratitude. "They're perfect," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Alice, cradling their daughter in her arms, smiled through tears of joy. "They are, and they're ours." The challenges of parenthood were immediate and demanding, but Devon and Alice faced them with unwavering determination. Sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, and the constant juggling of responsibilities became their new normal. But through it all, their love for each other and their children remained their guiding light. Devon and Alice's lives had been forever changed by the arrival of their twins. But the journey was far from over. As they navigated the joys and challenges of parenthood, a surprising reconciliation would unfold, one that would bring their family closer than ever before. Stay tuned to see how love and forgiveness would transform their lives yet again. The twins' arrival brought an overwhelming mix of joy, exhaustion, and purpose to Devon and Alice's lives. Their days were now filled with lullabies, late-night feedings, and the soft coos of their newborns. Each moment, though challenging, reinforced the strength of their bond. But there was one loose thread in their story that weighed heavily on both of them: Devon's strained relationship with his family. Despite her initial disapproval of their union, Devon's mother had softened toward Alice after learning about the pregnancy. Yet the rift between her and Devon remained unresolved, and his father's silence on the matter was equally telling. Alice, who believed in the power of family, often encouraged Devon to extend an olive branch. "They're your parents, Devon," she would say gently. "They may not show it the way you hope, but I believe they care for you deeply. Maybe it's time to try again." Devon, though hesitant, knew she was right. The birth of his children had given him a new perspective on the importance of family, and he longed for his twins to grow up surrounded by love and unity. The opportunity for reconciliation came sooner than expected. One afternoon, as Devon returned home from a grocery run, he found his mother waiting outside their apartment building. She stood there, clutching a neatly wrapped gift, her expression a mixture of nervousness and hope. "Mom," he said, his voice tinged with surprise and cautious warmth. "Devon," she replied, her eyes softening as she stepped closer. "I wanted to see you, and Alice, and the babies." Her vulnerability caught Devon off guard. For a moment, he was silent, torn between the pain of their past and the possibility of a better future. Then, with a deep breath, he nodded. "Come in." Inside, Alice greeted Devon's mother with her characteristic grace, holding one of the twins in her arms. "Mrs. Calloway," she said warmly, "it's good to see you." "Please, call me Margaret," his mother replied, her voice unsteady as she reached out to gently touch the baby's tiny hand. "And this is Sophia," Alice said, smiling. "And her brother is asleep in the nursery. His name is James." Margaret's eyes filled with tears as she gazed at her granddaughter. "They're beautiful," she whispered. As the afternoon unfolded, the tension between Devon and his mother began to dissolve. Margaret opened up about her regrets, admitting that her focus on wealth and social standing had often clouded her judgment. "I thought I was protecting you, Devon," she said, her voice trembling. "But in doing so, I pushed you away. And I see now how wrong I was. Alice is extraordinary, and these babies, your family, they're everything that matters." Devon, moved by her sincerity, reached out to take her hand. "I've wanted to hear those words for so long, Mom. Thank you." Their reconciliation was the first step toward mending the family. Over the following weeks, Margaret became a regular presence in their lives, helping with the twins and bonding with Alice. Her transformation inspired Devon's father to reach out as well. Though his approach was more reserved, his desire to reconnect was genuine. The family's reunion culminated in a heartfelt gathering at Devon and Alice's apartment. It was a modest affair, nothing like the grand dinner parties of his childhood, but it was filled with warmth and laughter. Devon's father, who had always been a man of few words, offered a toast that left everyone in tears. "To family," he said, his voice steady but full of emotion. "To forgiveness, to growth, and to the love that binds us all together." The journey toward reconciliation wasn't without its challenges. There were moments of awkwardness, of unspoken grievances bubbling to the surface. But with each passing day, the bonds between them grew stronger. Alice, who had been the catalyst for this transformation, watched with quiet pride as Devon and his parents rediscovered the love they had nearly lost. One evening, as they sat together after a particularly lively family dinner, Devon turned to Alice, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You've given me so much, Alice," he said. "Not just our children, but a chance to rebuild what I thought was broken beyond repair. I'll never be able to thank you enough." She smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "You don't have to thank me, Devon. We've done this together. That's what family does." With their family reunited, Devon and Alice had overcome one of their greatest challenges. But their story wasn't over. As they continued to navigate the joys and trials of life, they would discover that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the love, loyalty, and sacrifices that define a life well lived. Their greatest lessons were yet to come. The reconciliation with Devon's parents brought an air of peace and unity that neither he nor Alice had imagined possible. For the first time, their small but vibrant family felt whole. The presence of Margaret and Devon's father, James, became a welcome fixture in their lives. They brought not only their love and support, but also the wisdom that comes with age and experience. But life, as always, continued to test them. Raising twins on a modest income meant sacrifices, long nights, and a constant balancing act. Yet, amidst the chaos, Devon and Alice found joy in the simple moments: Sophia's first giggle, James Jr.'s first steps, and the laughter that filled their home during family dinners. It was during one of these dinners, as they all crowded around the small dining table, that Devon had a revelation. His father was regaling everyone with stories of his younger years, the room alive with laughter, when Devon realized how far he had come. The man who had once measured success by material wealth now found himself fulfilled by the intangible treasures of life. The richness of shared memories, the strength of a united family, and the love that bound them all together. These were the things that truly mattered. Alice, ever the heart of their family, was the one who kept them grounded. She had a way of finding beauty in the everyday and teaching those around her to do the same. Whether it was tending to a small garden on their balcony or organizing a community picnic, she infused their lives with meaning and connection. One day, as Devon helped Alice prepare for a neighborhood gathering, he paused to watch her. She was laughing with the children as they decorated cupcakes, her joy infectious. "You're incredible, you know that," he said, pulling her aside for a moment. She smiled, her cheeks flushing. "I'm just doing what makes me happy, and you make everyone around you happy," he replied, his voice full of admiration. Their love for each other, forged through trials and strengthened by shared purpose, became the foundation of their family. They approached challenges as a team, whether it was managing their finances, juggling work and parenting, or supporting their community. Devon's relationship with his parents also continued to evolve. His father, once a symbol of stoic pride, began to open up about his regrets. "I spent too many years chasing after the wrong things," James admitted during a quiet conversation with Devon. "Watching you and Alice has reminded me of what really matters." Margaret, too, embraced her role as a grandmother with gusto, doting on the twins and forging a close bond with Alice. The family's shared experiences became a source of strength, their love deepening with each passing year. But perhaps the most profound shift came in Devon himself. He began using his experience and resources to give back to the community. Inspired by Alice's work, he started a program to support underprivileged families, offering everything from job training to childcare services. The initiative became a labor of love, a way for Devon to channel his past successes into something meaningful. The program also brought new opportunities for connection and growth. Devon found himself mentoring young entrepreneurs, sharing the lessons he had learned, not just about business, but about life. True wealth, he often said, is measured by the impact you have on others and the love you cultivate along the way. As the years passed, Devon and Alice's family thrived. The twins grew into kind, curious children, their lives enriched by the love and support of their parents and grandparents. The challenges they faced became stepping stones, shaping their character and strengthening their bonds. One evening, as the family gathered around a fire pit in their backyard, Devon looked around at the faces of those he loved most. The warmth of the fire reflected in their smiles, the air filled with the sound of Sophia and James Jr. chasing fireflies. "I never imagined life could be this good," he said quietly, turning to Alice. She took his hand, her eyes shining with tears of happiness. "It's not about what we have, Devon. It's about who we have." Her words captured the essence of their journey. They had learned to prioritize love, loyalty, and sacrifice above all else, discovering along the way that these were the true markers of a life well lived. Devon and Alice's story was one of transformation and redemption, but their journey had one final message to share, one that would inspire others to reflect on their own lives and choices. What does it mean to truly live with purpose and love? Their story's closing chapter would offer the answer. As the years passed, the story of Devon and Alice became more than just their own. It became a testament to the enduring power of love, the importance of family, and the courage it takes to live authentically. Their journey, marked by sacrifices and triumphs, resonated deeply with those who knew them and even those who had only heard whispers of their tale. Devon often found himself reflecting on the path he had taken, from the man who once equated wealth with worth to the devoted husband, father, and community leader he had become. His transformation was nothing short of extraordinary. He understood now that the most significant risks in life often led to the most profound rewards. One evening, as the family gathered for dinner, Devon decided to share a story with his children. Sophia and James Jr., now curious and perceptive teenagers, often asked questions about their parents' past. That night, Devon felt it was time to share the lessons he had learned. "Do you know why your mother and I have always taught you that kindness and honesty matter more than anything else?" he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. The twins leaned in, their eyes wide with curiosity. "Because there was a time," Devon continued, "when I didn't understand that. I thought success was about how much you owned, how powerful you were. But I was wrong. The greatest success is building a life filled with love, trust, and purpose. And that's something money can't buy." He went on to recount his journey, sparing no detail about the mistakes he had made and the lessons he had learned. Alice, sitting beside him, added her perspective, emphasizing the importance of staying true to oneself and choosing love even when it's the harder path. By the time they finished, the twins sat in thoughtful silence, their expressions a mix of awe and understanding. "Thank you for telling us," Sophia said softly. "It makes me proud to be your daughter." James Jr. nodded in agreement. "Me too. I want to live like you and Mom, making choices that matter." Their words filled Devon and Alice with a deep sense of fulfillment. They had not only built a life they could be proud of, but they had also planted the seeds of wisdom in their children, ensuring that the lessons they had learned would live on. As Devon and Alice's story continued to inspire those around them, they realized the importance of sharing their message with a broader audience. Together, they decided to write a book, a heartfelt account of their journey and the principles that had guided them. The book, titled Priceless Love, A Journey Beyond Wealth, became a beacon of hope for many, encouraging readers to reflect on their own values and priorities. In its pages, Devon and Alice shared not just their story, but practical insights on living with purpose, cultivating meaningful relationships, and finding joy in simplicity. Their message was simple, yet profound. Life is not measured by what you have, but by what you give and the love you leave behind. As the years turned into decades, Devon and Alice continued to live by these principles. Their home became a hub of warmth and generosity, a place where friends, family, and strangers alike were welcomed with open arms. In their twilight years, they often sat together on their porch, watching the sun set over the horizon, their hands, worn with age but still entwined, told the story of a lifetime spent in partnership and love. Do you think we've done enough? Devon asked one evening, his voice tinged with the quiet introspection of a man nearing the end of his journey. Alice smiled, her eyes sparkling with the wisdom of a life well lived. We've done what matters, Devon, and that's enough. Their legacy, built on courage, love, and the bold choices they had made, would endure long after they were gone, a testament to the power of living with authenticity and purpose. Devon and Alice's story is a reminder that the most significant rewards in life come not from material wealth, but from the love, loyalty, and sacrifices that define us. If their journey has touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's spread this message of hope and courage. Comment below, "I choose love and purpose above all else." And don't forget to explore our other videos for more inspiring stories like this one. Together, we can build a community that celebrates the values that truly matter.